Mike Rogers is the congressman from Michigan. He's the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Let's get your immediate reaction to the breaking news. What do you think about this, Congressman?
Well, Wolf, I think it was probably for the best. I think Ambassador Rice was facing an uphill battle in the Senate for any confirmation that she may have received for Secretary of State, and I think it would have distracted from the issues of North Korea and what's going on there, in Syria and the chemical weapons and an opposition we don't fully understand. We have a growing al-Qaeda threat in Libya. So when you look at all those challenges and all the challenges the Secretary of State's going to face, this would have been horrifically distracting from those issues, because I think there were a lot of senators who were concerned about her statements and her positions when it came in the Benghazi aftermath.
As chairman of the Intelligence Committee, you're privy to the most sensitive information out there. Are you confident you now know everything you need to know about what happened in Benghazi?
I think we're getting a better picture every day. We had another closed hearing today in the Intelligence Committee to try to see days after Benghazi, and it's going to take some time to go through all the information. I feel very strongly, Wolf, that there was a gross negligence when it came to the physical security of the ambassador at the mission there in Benghazi. That was very clear to me. Some very, very bad decisions were made, and I think contributed to the death of the ambassador and three other great Americans. So that part, I think, is taking great shape. I think the intelligence part is coming together. It sounds to me, or looks to me, when I review everything, that it looked pretty good leading into the day and then the days after, and I think it's clear that there was some political interpretation of the intelligence in the days after. We still have more questions. The investigation is still underway by the FBI. And now we need to focus, and what we were trying to do today, Wolf, is focus on getting the people responsible and holding them accountable for their actions that killed and took the lives of 4 Americans.
You're talking about the al-Qaeda affiliate organizations that may have been responsible for the death of these 4 Americans, including the ambassador, Chris Stevens. But when you say there was gross negligence, that suggests that there were American officials who should have known better, who should have had better security for the ambassador and his colleagues, and they were negligent. Do we know who these individuals who were negligent are?
Well, that picture is much clearer today than it was even a short time ago.
Can you tell us who they are?
I think that's best to wait till all the details are assembled and a report would be issued. But I will tell you, Wolf, when you look at all of the information leading up on the day and the days after, it was very, very clear that there was a serious security threat there, and the State Department just did not make the right decisions to secure the ambassador himself. And there's all kinds of evidence and of all sorts leading up to that conclusion. And again, there'll be, I'm sure, a report soon. And I think, again, on the Ambassador Rice thing, I think all of that would have been rehashed in the Senate, and I think that was probably not helpful to the real issues that we're facing today, which is North Korea, Syria, growing al-Qaeda in Libya, all of those issues.
Well, let's get to Syria for a moment while I have you. How secure are those chemical warfare stockpiles in Syria right now? Do you believe that the President Bashar al-Assad will use chemical warfare against his own people?
Well, you know, his father, at least there's lots of reporting that his father did in fact use chemical weapons or something very close to it in his suppression of the population. We know that he has made it available, meaning that in some of these chemical weapons there are certain procedures you have to go through to make them a viable weapon. I believe that that's happened. I believe that they are available for use at a very short notice. Now, you have the desperation of a dictator who is facing his ending days of his regime, I believe, has made these chemical weapons out of his stockpile available for use. I don't know, and we know his father used it. It would be irresponsible, I think, of the international community to lead in and say, well, we don't think he's going to use them. The modeling on this is not good. I mean, it could be hundreds of thousands of dead, millions who would be impacted by it, and refugee problems all across the Levant and in the Middle East that would be staggering and destabilizing to that whole region of the world. So this is, I mean, as serious as it gets. And this is not a decision I argue we should get wrong. We need to come together very soon, and if we have unique capabilities to intervene in this use of these chemical weapons, and if we have that level of confidence that he is in that position, we need to take serious consideration of maybe doing that.
You think about the use of chemical weapons. I assume you're talking about when Hafez al-Assad, his father, slaughtered about 20,000 Syrians in the town of Hama in the early 1980s. Do you have information to use chemical weapons to kill those Syrians at that time?
There are mixed reports, and there have been some forensic issues taken there that would lead one to believe that chemical weapons could have been used. And I'll tell you one thing, in the Middle East, our liaison partners across the Middle East passionately believe those were chemical weapons that were used. So there is lots of belief that it was. And again, now you have his son, who certainly grew up with all of that. In addition to the fact, Wolf, that he's taken an affirmative action to put those weapons available for use. Those are all very concerning steps, and I think we've got to be prudent about making sure we don't have a catastrophic humanitarian crisis with the use of these chemical weapons. I worry about what that means for humanity in general, let alone the people of Syria who would be killed and maimed in a horrific way, and then all of the refugees and all the problems that would cause an instability in that region is, as I said, as serious a problem as I can imagine in what is already a serious humanitarian crisis.
We're out of time, Congressman. One final question. Looking back now, 2007, when the Israelis took out that nuclear reactor in Syria that North Korea was building for them, imagine what the situation in Syria would be like right now if there were nuclear weapons involved in what's going on. Chemical weapons, bad enough. Nuclear weapons potentially could be even worse. Have you considered that situation in 2007 when the Israelis did what they did?
Listen, we look at that with Iran, with North Korea, with Syria. You have these despotic regimes who are not rational in their decisions, and it is terrifying to believe that Iran could get that capability, North Korea could get that capability, and Syria almost had that capability. They were well underway to get it themselves. It is concerning, is why those guys like me stay awake a lot of nights trying to figure out how we work our way through these issues. They're serious, and they can cause huge international stability and huge humanitarian crises with their use.
Hey, Congressman, Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for joining us as usual.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Wolf.
Mike Rogers is the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee.